Hi, guys. This is Carrie with Fullerton Professional Organizing, where we help you declutter your faith, your home, and your business. And today we are doing a little business Wednesday, Work Wednesday podcast. And I have a special guest. She is someone I have known for many, many, many years. And even though we haven't always lived close to each other, she's a really good close friend of mine. And I'm going to go ahead and let her introduce herself and what she does and tell us a little bit about her why. And, we've really been talking about how we step by step and day by day walk out God's will. And so she's just going to really tell you the real journey of her thoughts because here on this podcast we're all about progress, not perfection here. So I'm going to go ahead and let her introduce herself.
Oh, thank you, Carrie. I'm so excited to have this opportunity. My name's Heidi Haynes. And like Carrie says, we have known each other for really several decades now. Not living always close by, but our early friendship started when we all lived in El Paso and we attended a wonderful church that was meeting in a bingo hall. And that's how we struck up our friendships.
Yeah,
And
I didn't even remember it was a bingo hall. So that
yeah, it was a bingo hall over there in Country Club or something area. And my whole journey, even up to meeting Carrie, was really based a lot on travel. And currently, just so I can introduce my current business, what I'm involved in right now is it's called Two Girls on the Go. And this is just a travel group that a girlfriend and I put together after we did some traveling last summer. What we really found is that there are a lot of women, and I mean, people in generally are kind of traveling more, I feel like, anyway. But while we were traveling, we found out that there were a lot of women, especially that were looking to have some adventure, have some connection, and even more so, kind of have a purpose for traveling. So when we came back from Italy last summer, we decided, hey, why don't we put together a group? And what we can offer people is just like an entrance into if you want to travel. I know we all feel like, well, anybody can go online, anybody can look up tickets nowadays. Of course, we have AI, we have all these other little tools and resources to help us like design a trip. But we found that outside of that, people just don't want to travel, to just travel by themselves. A lot of times
Mhm.
they appreciate being able to travel together. I was
Yeah, and
looking at
if they have a little group of lady
yeah,
friends, they're great. But if they don't have a group already that they can travel with and they want to travel, I think that's a great idea.
exactly, because I don't know about you, but we're in a different age bracket nowadays. And what I'm finding is, sadly, some of my friends are losing their travel partner, their husband. Some are divorced, or some, just are on their own. They're kind of solo out there.
Yeah,
And
I have a few friends that either they're farmers, so their husband can't leave the animals, so they travel by themselves, or I have another client whose husband is older and he just does not want to travel anymore. So, yeah, even if they are married, sometimes they are forced to do all their traveling alone.
yeah, exactly. And I did pull up some statistics, which I thought was interesting that 87% of women are choosing to or maybe not choosing, but they are ending up being what we call solo travelers.
Mhm.
And some of them are just doing that, because they just want to relax. And the other person they have in their life that isn't able to, like you're saying. And I thought it was pretty incredible. By 2028, 75% of all discretionary income for travel and things like this will be controlled by women. I think that's interesting and kind of goes along with the baby boomer generation.
Mhm.
There's going to be 65 million baby boomers entering retirement. As we know, statistically, men pass, sometimes before women, which
Mhm.
means that that is going to leave a huge number of women wondering what they should do and why should they have to give up traveling.
Mhm.
And that's really what Two Girls on the Go is about. We really want to like spark adventure. We want to build connections. We even want to help you travel with a purpose.
Mm. That sounds marvelous and fun. Well, and I think that is super, super awesome. Would you ever consider like couples, or you want to stick with your niche of women's groups?
Oh no, really, no. We're happy to help single kids or
Mhm.
couples, anyone, because that's really what we can do with. I have like about 40 years or more of experience. We won't count my childhood days. My family
Mhm.
was missionary, so we started traveling. I started traveling at a very young age, so
Yeah,
it's
so
kind of
you're
just
real
always been my
comfortable in
person.
that.
Right. And traveling doesn't mean you have to go far.
Hmm.
I'm also very intent and very purposeful that if I have a season where I'm not, like, say, going to Italy or, going to the Philippines or somewhere outside of the country, that I look for the opportunities in my area, in my region. And we've moved a lot because my husband had a government job,
Hmm.
and that to find opportunities to explore where I am.
Hmm.
And those are also things we can help people with. So, we can do anything from a large scale travel plan to just maybe helping you research in your region or in the state somewhere you want to go. But I've been to enough places, can, help you with like an itinerary. Or if you've made your own plan, but you just want to bounce it off of someone.
Yeah.
So just a simple consultation, even
Hmm.
just to say, oh, I put these together. What do you think?
Hmm.
We
Yeah.
kind of can, assist and help on any level.
Yeah, well, and we've talked about your business many times, but it just dawned on me just now because I also know your background, but um you could even probably take churches and help them with their missionary trips because you've done it so often. If they're just some churches have gone on mission trips, but some churches haven't yet. They haven't started gathering groups for that type of thing before, and you'd be very helpful in that since that's mostly what you've done a lot of in your life. I think that's really cool. So now what inspired you to start your business? I mean, what, I mean, because I know you have that experience, but what was that one day or that one time, or maybe it was just a process of, what do I do next? What inspired you to start the business?
Okay, well, that catalyst is the fact that often talk, and you and I have often talked about like finding what the Lord wants you to do, and how do you really know what the
Mm-hmm.
perfect plan is. So a few years back, after my missionary work, which was up until I was almost 30, I came back to the States. We've raised a family, we moved a lot, but I ended up going into pharmacy and did
Mm-hmm.
pharmacy technician work for a while. The one thing I loved about that is I was able to use my Spanish speaking skills, but also I was able to really use a lot of my third cultural knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Um, People come to a pharmacy or anywhere in retail, and especially in this huge, global salad pot
Mm-hmm.
of people that we have now in the US. And they really appreciate when you can kind of identify with them and even kind of recognize their cultural
Mm-hmm.
experiences. And I love that in pharmacy.
Mm-hmm.
What I also loved is I always loved things that were medical. Well, fast forward, I did some medical school and things. Those it didn't work out for me,
Mm-hmm.
and that was really confusing for me because I felt like everything was so aligned and it should have worked out for me. But after that, I just had to take a step back, and I just, tried to search deep in with me. I still want to give. I still want to be out there for people. I still want to meet people's needs.
Mm-hmm.
And I started to incorporate then in what are some of my passions. So I kind of had to reassess what are my passions. Languages are my passion, and traveling in that sense and making connections. I think that connection is what really drove me. And also, I love a sense of adventure.
Mm-hmm.
So when I had this big trip last year and I started to get so much positive feedback, and people are like, oh my gosh, you look like, you're having a trip that's different. It's not just about running around and say, oh, I saw the Coliseum, I saw this, I saw that. It's more about really settling in and enjoying the nuances of wherever you're going
Mm-hmm.
and feeling like you're not rushed, but you're really having a holistic, rounded experience.
Oh,
So that's really the catalyst. It was kind of a little bit of failure in one side, or I won't say failure, but different direction. Ended
yeah.
up.
Well, let me speak to the failure part because I talked to another podcast. Well, I had someone have me on, and that's what we were talking about. And that was how do you know what God's will is? And then at the end, she wanted me to encourage the ladies. And I started thinking, well, you know what? There are going to be times that we're going to think our failure, what we see as a failure, isn't really a failure at all. Because I was reminded, and I know you know this story, the Cross and the Switchblade with
Mm-hmm.
Nikki Cruz. Well, you know, as a kid, I knew that story, but my husband and I listened to the book again with our kids, and I got a lot more detail because my dad always talked about it, but I had not read the book. And the fact that that preacher thought that his mission was these five gang members that were already arrested. He was going to somehow get to the courtroom, transform their lives, and all he did was make a fool of himself. He had his Bible, he made a fool of himself. The cops hauled him out. They took a picture of him with his Bible and the cops hauling him out. And though everyone in his hometown saw that in the newspaper
Right.
and he felt humiliated. He felt like a failure. He didn't understand. I know that this was God's will. And then turns out they recognize him on the street. I don't remember the details between that, but he winds up on the street preaching, and all the gang members on the street recognized him because he was in the newspaper. Oh, you're that preacher, you're that preacher. So
Right.
he saw that later as a blessing, not a failure. And of course, he had other things that God had to show him along the way, also, that things weren't working the way he thought they should work, and he had to depend on the Holy Spirit. And then things started, so not everything that we think is a failure or a misstep or a what's going on, God? I thought I was following your plan. Not always is it a failure. So, and I don't at all believe that your situation is a failure. I do believe you just keep walking it out. We as entrepreneurs keep walking
Right.
it out. I think that's another reason why I incorporate my faith into my business and into this podcast. guys that are listening, because I think you're going to see that entrepreneurs, of course, if you're not an entrepreneur yet and you're wanting to be, we have to walk it all out as well. It's not just an instant, um, an instant thing. We have questions, we wonder, we have missteps. But the difference is, as believers, we believe that God's going to guide us and it's all going to make sense eventually.
Well, and that is what we're believing because
Mhm.
while we've kind of started as just a little small kind of boutique type travel consultation, I mean, in our hearts, really, we know that the purpose is to live for the Lord, to share the love of God.
Mhm.
And if we can do that by providing connections and some kind of purpose for our travel, that
Mhm.
is really a deep heart's desire is that, it won't be just about taking people or sending people somewhere, but also finding ways to incorporate in volunteering or standing with our community. Like last year I was able to go with someone, I took someone and we went up to North Carolina to Black Mountain and we volunteered for a day in one of the big distribution centers after Hurricane Helene. So two girls on the go is also a lot about giving back,
Mhm.
and I look forward to being able to provide those kind of opportunities for people who are looking for, doing like kind of that little mission trip or even volunteering somewhere in our nation. But then also exploring the beauty of wherever that is.
Yes, yes.
It's a beautiful world. And
It's God's creation,
right,
and we should, if we can, we should be out there exploring it. Yeah, I think that's
exactly.
great.
So
Really, really cool. So, let's see here. What is your favorite tool or system for keeping your business running smoothly?
Oh, I suppose that's a big question for me. I've started using the Google Workspace,
Mm-hmm.
just because I felt like somehow it kind of keeps me on track
Mm-hmm.
a little bit better. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm not great at it yet, I'll admit, but I have implemented that recently. And I've been using that. I think that's probably been one of, the biggest things I've been trying to use. And then I have a few platforms that I also use where some Travel Zoo. I don't know if people have heard of that or Rate Punk. I do incorporate like some other
Mm-hmm.
um, platforms so that I can kind of follow the trends or if they offer packages. So I kind of can see what's out
Yeah.
there. It keeps me informed.
Yeah.
That's
So
the
what do
biggest.
you use Google Workplace for? I do have to admit I'm not super techie either. Uh, so I'm not sure I know what Google is, but
Sure.
I'm not familiar with Google Workplace and its benefits, I guess.
Right. Well, the Google Workplace, I think a big benefit is you can really block off your day. So
Oh, okay.
we are on an organizational web podcast. So um,
Mm-hmm.
that has helped me to stay more organized.
Mm-hmm.
I think when you're a connection person and a people person like me,
Mm-hmm.
you can spend a lot of time, with calls and texting, and
Yeah.
a lot of it's all related to my work because somebody will say, send a text and blah, blah, blah. Can you check this or that? But
Mm-hmm.
the Google Workplace, it also can set up like your meetings if you have a team. And just, yeah, it just can really block out your time. And
Well,
I think
do
that keeps me
people
a little.
book through it, or it's just for your
Yes, you can book your appointments through it, although I haven't gotten to that level, but yes, you can.
Okay. Well,
So
I was just going to say in the party business and in the organizing business, I have heard a lot about honey books. So I just thought that's why I asked. I thought I'd throw that out there. I do use Google Calendar, but
mhm,
me personally, I mostly still use my paper calendar just
mhm.
because it's instant for me. instead of going into my phone or the computer. Um, but yeah, so I thought I'd throw that out there as well.
Yeah, honeycooks. I haven't heard of that, so I will look that up too.
Yeah, I do. I I do not use it, but because in the when I was doing parties, that was a big one, and I hear organizers using it too. It makes me think that it's a pretty good one to use. Of course, there's all kinds, you can use Trello.
So many.
I've heard of others that I haven't learned how to use because I haven't needed to,
Right.
and I don't have a team, so some of
No,
them are because they have organizing teams or they have a party, they have employees, and I don't have employees, so I haven't had to really look into that stuff. But yeah, that's one I've heard of. Um, now, how do you prioritize your tasks when everything feels overwhelming? Or
mm.
has it got to that point yet? Or
I think we're just getting to the overwhelming point
Mhm,
only because we are a kind of a new startup.
mhm,
Um, and there's that whole sense of, keeping up your website, doing some marketing,
mhm,
doing some itineraries. So yes, prioritizing is me using sticking to my Google Workspace so that
mhm,
I stay on my calendar. And sometimes that means saying no to immediate
mhm,
conversations with people, and even if it's my family. So
mhm.
I'm having to learn to be like in a kind of in a business mindset. When I
Mhm.
went to the pharmacy for
Mhm.
my 8 hours, nobody was calling me. I was doing my job.
Exactly.
And I think that's the difference with the entrepreneurial side.
Hmm.
That is something that I'm having to learn, that we're having to learn, is really focusing on it. And, everyone around me understands these really are my business hours. And
Hmm.
I do other things,
Yes.
before or after.
I don't know if you and I talked about this because I do this for many people. I don't know if as a friend we talked about this or if I've talked to businesses about this. But I, really a great way to stay on task is take care of your emails first, and then don't touch your email again. Don't answer your emails all through the day. Just have a certain time, and it won't. And I'm not even meaning first thing in the morning. I'm just saying get to
Right.
work. You start your day at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. I tend to start mine at 10 because I spend my time reading my Bible, and I don't just read my Bible. I kind of, you know,
Study, but yeah.
so I spend a little time in my Bible and I don't like to be rushed. So I start my day at 10. Whatever time you start your day, have some time to process information and relax, drink your coffee, do all those things. But when you answer your emails, answer them and then don't answer them again until before lunch, and then at the end of the day, just having 3 days I mean, 3 days, three different
Oh,
times, no matter what the time is, just have 3 times that you answer emails. And then, yeah, those phone calls, that's a whole different thing. I know if my husband calls me, it's important because
sure.
we don't call each other during the day. So that's about it. And just knowing when to ignore.
Everything else. You have mentioned, I think, when we were just conversing as friends,
Mhm.
about the email timing, and
Mhm.
I
Yeah, I
do.
thought it was you, but I
Yeah, and I do.
sure.
I put that on my list to like incorporate that.
Yeah,
Um,
and time
that would help
blocking.
a lot.
Yeah. Well, that goes into the time blocking
Right.
because and what a lot of people think time blocking is scheduling out your entire minute by minute days. And it really isn't. It's really time blocking just means that you also schedule in your breaks.
Yes.
You have to have your pause moments scheduled in too, or you will tend to not, um, you'll just work through and you won't breathe and you'll burn yourself out. You've got to schedule in time to decompress, I guess,
Sure. Like
decompression
stand
time.
up. Yes. Stand up, move around. Right.
Yeah, yes.
That's a good reminder because last night, actually, when I was closing up, I felt like, why am I so exhausted? And I think it's because I just came back from a wonderful trip. A group of ladies, we went
Mhm.
out to Destin, amazing. But I was coming back and just like trying to catch up, and I probably had not paused. And
Mm,
so, I just
yeah,
felt so exhausted,
decompression is so
mentally felt
important.
so exhausted by the end of the day that I'm like, did I get anything done? It was,
Mhm.
yeah. So,
Yeah. Yeah, I have another YouTuber that I follow, and what she does is now she starts her day by watching something that's business related, like a video on
hmm,
her business. That's what she starts her day with, just something educational, business wise, something that she can learn a few points from, and that starts her day. And then she does her email stuff. And then at the end of the day, of course, most people do this, but because I'm in the organizing space, I know not everyone does,
sure.
because I've been hired to do little talks on it, but office organization to reset your desk,
Mm,
make sure it's all nice and pretty so that it smiles at you the next day. And if you have confidential stuff, she has this real pretty, she just made a little sign that said smile, and she had it decorated in her pretty stuff. It says smile, and it covers her confidential stuff so
mm,
that it's always covered, it's always confidential, but it's pretty. And she's all into aesthetics. Me, I am into aesthetics, but I'm into function first and then
uh-huh.
aesthetics. But I thought that was really cute. So so she comes in and everything is, she just makes her space a happy place. And I think that that is super neat. Of course, mine's a little cluttered right now, right now because
I
I'm going to
kind of,
do
yeah,
a little
I like that
podcasting.
idea. Yeah, 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 exactly. I kind of
When
do
we
that.
get
Like
off here.
I do like to come back and then like right there in front of my computer, I kind of have what I know is my go-to list kind of.
Mhm.
So helps me
Yeah.
give it a jump start to the day.
Yeah, that's always nice. And so that's kind of what think we talk about when we talk about time blocking. It's not time blocking every single second of the day and having to purposely stay super tight. It's
Yeah.
just making sure that everything you need to get done in a day is spread out and get the most stressful stuff done at the
Yeah.
beginning so you can kind of, instead of doing the stressful stuff right at the end of the day. And, there's just so many things we can do. Now, what area do you struggle the most with in organization, at home or at business? Just something that the audience that's listening will, be able to relate to. I mean, we all have something that, even though we're entrepreneurs, even though we're highly motivated, we're highly task oriented, there's always something.
Well, I mean, I think one, when you work from home, it's
Hmm.
different than when you work out. When I used
Yes.
to work out, I might be exhausted, but I would get a lot done when I was at home, right? So now
Mhm.
you're kind of at home working. So kind of keeping my tasks for my home also kind
Hmm.
of organized, so I don't feel like, oh my gosh, I worked all day on the business but nothing on the house this week.
Hmm.
We just moved as well, so I still like see a few pictures that need to be put up, those kind of things. So I think that would probably be number one. Specifically to the business, I am dealing right now with figuring out the best organizational system for like all my receipts and
Oh.
and my bookkeeping.
Hmm.
um I know I have to keep all of these.
Hmm.
So how do I keep them organized? I know I can scan them into, like there's Wave, you can scan
Hmm.
things to that, but you still have to detail all of that.
Yeah.
So I definitely know that's like the next little segment that I need to now try to figure out an actual program or system.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I know some people just, well, get a bookkeeper, which I can get a bookkeeper, and
hmm.
I'm looking for someone, local,
Hmm.
work with a small, like us, like a small business. But I know that in the meantime, I do need to keep things organized in case I get to the point where I can hand it over.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with
So,
you. Yeah, my husband's just decided this past year, he's like, okay, I think next year we're gonna pay someone. He's always done it himself, but now he's like, okay, I think we're gonna pay someone to take care of it, or at least our tax, yeah, our tax stuff.
right.
Um, and what are you the most proud of organization wise? And again, like I said, it can be any area.
Um, I am great. One of my strengths is I am, because we've moved so much, I am great at getting right into a new place and getting
Mhm.
it organized, finding a space for each of us. My husband is also very busy with his own
Mhm.
projects and work. So I am happy with how I'm able to divide that out and give us each a workspace. I think that's really important. And
Mm.
as far as the business, I am keeping up, and I'm proud that I'm able to, that we're able to move forward in kind of like some of the social platforms and the technology, and just
Mhm.
keep current on how to be relevant.
Mhm.
When you're from kind of a boomer era, you feel at first that it's a little bit show offy, but oh, I'm doing this, and you're on social platforms. It feels a little odd. We're just not used to that. We're kind of
Yeah.
private, and but I've been able to stay up with that.
Mhm.
I keep my mind open, tap
Mhm.
into some of the, my kids, or people that are a bit younger, ask them, what are you using? How are you doing that? And then figuring it out.
Mhm.
So I think that's a huge part of maybe having a business. And this is my first real business. So
Mhm.
it's just being open to like learning, and
Mhm.
just keep at it until
Yeah.
maybe it takes you a little
Oh
longer,
yeah,
but keep at
practice,
it.
practice, practice. That's actually what I'm doing with this podcast. I just now, after many years of podcasting, got to 1,000 people where others get to 1,000 within their first year. And I've been doing this for a few years. I started out doing Dollar Tree because I was uncomfortable, Dollar Tree hauls, and then I did a little bit of my party stuff, and then I finally started doing this with my business for the last couple of years. So it's been a long one. It's a, when you start podcasting and YouTubing and all of that later in life, the young ones, they have it. They have no inhibitions. So they're just out there doing and putting it all out there on YouTube. And we kind of we are processing it all. They're not processing, we're processing it all. So
Learning to process and learn at the same.
yeah, processing and learning at the same time. That's why I started doing these interviews, because me just talking to the camera isn't always, I don't have one of those, um, when I'm talking to a camera, but when I'm talking to someone else, my personality, my personality comes out. I'm able to talk because I'm not shy. It's
Right,
just that I'm talking to a camera when I'm doing my own podcast by myself,
right,
and it comes across a little drier. But that's the thing. We're gonna learn. We
right.
depend on the Lord to nudge us into learning some things and teach us some things. And yeah, it's all good. So, now, you talked already a little bit about this, but what's one simple organizing tip you can share that anyone can start using today? Because I'm reminded of what you said, how do you handle clutter or mess when life gets super busy and you're trying to keep it all, the business side and the home side, what is how do you do all of that? And I'm not saying you have to do it perfectly. I'm just saying, what is some things that you can throw out there, some tips?
Well, I think the biggest thing are, for what I've started doing for my actual desk space
Mhm.
is the really simple. I found, some little file folder trays.
Mhm.
That has helped me a lot because I also take care of most of the business end of our family's personal business.
Mhm.
We have a couple of rentals, so there's a lot
Mhm.
that goes in with all that.
Mhm.
So I found just like in my space, because I agree, if you just sit down and it's just full of papers, it's
Mhm.
hard for me to focus.
Yes.
So I purchased some of those and I just nicely filed everything. So I kind of have my desk set up that way. And then just as far as my personal scheduling, I've just been using the workspace to kind of guide me and keep me going back on track. And I also love that little Pomodoro
Oh,
time.
yes.
That's
Yes.
little things like that's something I learned in medical school. It just reminds me, it gives me that, oh, you've done your 20 minutes, you've done your 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And that keeps me on track and keeping my phone turned off.
Mm-hmm.
I've been utilizing more of my phone,
Mm-hmm.
currently at work or offline, whatever you want to pull
Mm-hmm.
up one of those little
Mm-hmm.
tags, just so that I, keep myself focused.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, because when you're working at home, you have to train yourself to realize, okay, if I were working in an office, I would be working from 8 to whatever. Now, at home, you can throw in some home
Sure.
related things. Put some laundry in the, washing machine,
Right.
wash your dishes. You can still do all of those things. That's what I love about um, for me, Mondays are my podcast days, extra cleaning that I didn't get done on the weekend, you
Right.
know, and then I try to take Mondays for that so that I don't burn out on the organizing side of the business. And do all the back end stuff on Mondays. That's my it's not my day off. It's not like my extra day off,
Right.
but you have to have time for your
Yes.
business
Right.
and your home. And if you can do that on Mondays, then you can concentrate more on just the business during the week. So I like that. Okay, two more questions, but not really. Just one question, actually. And then, what do you want everyone to know that we have not talked about? Like, I didn't ask you, but you really wanted to share and you didn't get to share. Is there anything that, or maybe a myth about what you do that maybe people think you do? A myth.
Well, a story comes to mind. We were just in Destin. There was a young kid pulling an ice chest down the beach with, selling cold water or something like that. And he stopped and he started talking to us. And I think he could just like pick up on our energy. And we were an older group of women, older being we are in our 30s or something. And he right away said, "Well, what are you doing?" And we said, "Well, we're just here to enjoy Destin. We travel." And he began to ask a lot of questions. Well, how do you do that? And I think it's a myth that you have to have a lot of money
Mm,
or you have to have a lot of time to
that's a
feel
good one.
like you're having some adventures in life.
Mhm.
And that's what we kind of explained to this young man. We're like, listen, you go, track online. Maybe there's a ticket this, for Friday or next Saturday. It's 89 bucks. It's to some place you've never been in
Mm-hmm.
the States. It could be in your state even. Hop
Mm-hmm.
on the plane, find a inexpensive Airbnb, or, you can build that out to be even broader for, say, Europe. There are ways to stay in Europe that aren't expensive. I mean, just because I'm not a 20-year-old backpacking girl, I stayed at a hostel, for example, a couple of years ago in Florence, right in the city, 25 bucks a night. I stayed in an all women's dorm. Couple of nights I had roommates, a couple of nights I didn't. It was beautiful in an old monastery. And there are so many ways that you can bring adventure and travel into your life, even if it's a day trip. And that's what I love to tell people. Don't keep waiting for the perfect budget or the perfect place or that dream, I'm going to go to Santorini. And, there are plenty of ways to see the world and to travel a bit and to just kind of get out from where you are and feel like you're just doing something that's a little bit adventurous. And,
Yeah.
if you can have a connection and take along a girlfriend or your
Yeah.
husband or somebody, it makes it even better. I
I
mean,
love that. It just made me think, you could find three of the lowest flights,
yeah,
find a sale. There's three. You got three choices, and then go to all three of those places and look for the least expensive place to stay, and then narrow down which of those three places that you want to go for the least budget, just doing a little research, or coming to Women on the Go. Wait,
two girls on the go.
sorry, I butchered that, but we will have all of that in the description.
All
Uh,
right.
Two Girls on the Go.
Right. Two
And
girls on the go.
well,
And sometimes we're three girls on the go. Sometimes we're four girls on the go. Sometimes we're one girl on the go and people end up joining us. So it's,
yeah,
you know,
Girls on the
just
Go.
a play, just get on the go and go somewhere. That's
Awesome.
what we love to do.
Yeah, or Travelers on the Go.
Travelers on the
Yes,
go. Sometimes
the girl.
we always laugh. Sometimes we're a girl on the go and a guy on the go.
Yeah.
My husband hadn't traveled outside of the US for 20 years. Don't ask me how that happened. He's just such a responsible, poor guy, he's busy at work. But we went recently to Berlin, and then we went over to Greece and had a great time. But you know what? It was quite a travel experience for him. He had to kind of learn all about traveling again. So sometimes we're girls, sometimes we're the guys. It's,
Yeah.
yeah, whoever.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Well, that segues us into the end. Where can people connect with you or your business? And then, send me all that information so I can put it in our description so people can find you.
Okay, you can find us on Facebook, Two Girls on the Go, Instagram, of course, and then we have our website, twogirlsonthego.com. And on there, I have blogs, and I need to go in and update tours, try to keep those updated. You can read a little bit about myself, also Lydia Magley, who's my co-partner.
Mhm.
And yeah, you can just go in there, send us a message, sign up for an email, and then we'll stay in touch with everybody.
Yeah. Is it better for them to email you than call you with all the spam and scam callers out there? Or do you still pick up the phone every time someone calls?
I mean, I do pick up the phone. I think sometimes I can tell the difference.
Mhm.
Messaging on Facebook actually is number one. We're going to be
Yes.
kind of revisiting our website, making it a little more dynamic now that we're
Mhm.
about a year into this.
Yes.
So I think Facebook
That's
messaging is
awesome.
probably the easiest and the most, is the quickest for me.
I agree. I agree because I do also pick up the phone but a lot of times I am just not sure who's on the other line. And for me, it's better to get a message and text. But I think a lot of people do that anyway because it's so non-committal. Sort
Sure.
of, they feel like it's non-committal until they decide, and then they will call. They want all the info first, and then they
Yeah.
will.
And
And
we're happy to do the info. We have online, it will tell you. We kind of do like a little 15-minute free consultation just to see if we're really
yes,
what you're looking for. And then, we just have some basic prices, just kind of depending. Some people, just like I said, want us to kind of look over their itineraries, see if it
mhm.
flows right or if we have any suggestions. And then some people really are interested if we're going to be going to Europe. We'll be taking a trip next summer, so, all the way to they like to have somebody go with them.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well,
Or they like to go with us, I guess I could say, if
yes.
we're doing a tour.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming and explaining to everybody what you do. And I am encouraging all of you, call her. Any of you that are heading out of the country or wanting to travel anywhere, locally, anywhere. I mean, she's your girl. I mean, basically, you have 50 over 50 years experience in travel, really. Even if this is a startup business, you have been, when you're a missionary kid or a missionary yourself, I mean, you have all the experience that you need. So she's your girl because she's got it all under control. Yes, she is organized, but she's been doing it so much that the organization, as far as travel goes, travel organization pretty much comes natural, right?
It does, yeah. I can pretty much throw together any kind of trip pretty quickly within a little bit. So
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Sure, the business stuff, she's still learning, but that travel
yeah,
stuff comes easy, 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 simple, and she has all the answers. And she's very patient, so she can talk to you about just about anything because you've almost been to a lot of the places that people want to go to.
exactly. Yeah. And we want people to feel comfortable with where they're
Mhm.
going, feel safe. And I think that's just something we can provide, kind of that little personal touch.
Yeah,
Get
that I think
where we want to
that's
go.
the difference with going with you than going with anyone else.
Right.
You're just not, a retailer that you call. You're an actual someone that really wants to give them some connection and slow things down, not, you know,
Right.
overwhelm their brain and just throw everything out at once. I love that. Well,
Exactly.
thank you again. And guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for coming and watching this podcast and this YouTube. And we will see you on the next one.
Thanks, Carrie.